This is TalkTV.
Welcome back. While I've been on air this evening, my friend and colleague Holly Willoughby has announced that she's quitting ITV's This Morning after 14 years. Holly had been absent from the daytime programme since last week when, I'm sure you'll remember, a man was charged with soliciting to commit murder, to murder her over an alleged plot to kidnap her. Writing on Instagram, Holly wrote, "It's been an honour to just be part of the story of This Morning, and I know this story has many chapters left to go. Sadly, however, I now feel I have to make this decision for me and my family. I will miss you all so much." I'm going to miss working with her enormously. Joining me now in the studio is Josh Rom, who presents Showbiz News on Sun TV. Hi, Josh. I don't suppose you're all that surprised to hear this.
No, I'm really not surprised. We know that she took a leave of absence before, she took a leave of absence, of course, after the alleged kidnap plot involving Mr. Plum was released to the public, and we saw ITV presenters pay tribute to her in their droves. So it's really not surprising. This has obviously taken a huge emotional toll on the presenter herself, but also I think it's important to state that maybe the recent scandals have also taken an emotional toll. Of course, the departure of her long-running colleague, Philip Schofield, of course, a friend of yours too, Vanessa. Yep. You know, that's not easy for anyone to, get over. This must have been a lot to process. He admitted that he lied to ITV colleagues. He admitted that he lied to her. So this must be a lot for Holly to process. She's been going through a state of change on the show recently. I covered the NTA's red carpet, and she hadn't spoken to reporters on an NTA's red carpet in over 10 years. But here she was speaking to us saying, well, we're trying things out, seeing what works. The show was going through almost a state of change, as you will know. So, yes. I think this is probably a bit of almost a relief for Holly, maybe.
What do you think? There's no question she's had an incredibly difficult year. In fact, her uncle passed away only last week. Then, as absolutely as you say, the whole situation with Philip, who was, her dearest friend, and they were incredibly close. And that wasn't just a television friendship, that was a real life, long-term, really deep friendship. Must have been very, very distressing for her. But I do know that she absolutely loved that programme and still does love it with all her heart. And it was very much a part of her DNA. It was really, I think it was one of the joys of her life presenting This Morning. She thoroughly enjoyed it. Mostly you could hear the sound of her giggling, of her loving the food, loving the fashion, loving the chat, and loving the dogs, loving the babies, just loving it. She was one of these presenters who, I think anyway, and I've worked with plenty who are not, you work with a presenter who's a bad fit on the show that they're presenting. They look fed up, they look disgruntled, they look bored.
Never Holly.
They're a bit rude, they're a bit, surly. You can see that they're just the wrong person in the wrong show. But she wasn't. She kind of was the audience and she was the presenter at the same time. And that's when it goes beautifully well for a show.
Absolutely. And of course, viewers will know Holly for those brilliant moments, those spontaneous moments. Of course, I think back to the morning after the NTAs when she took to the sofa in that white dress with those, as she says, the mysterious yellow stains that were in fact mustard and piccalilli.
That's right.
The time when the snake wrapped itself around her leg and she almost broke down into tears. Those spontaneous giggles were what she and Philip were known for. But also, I got to say, we already have betting odds on who might replace her.
Oh my God, I haven't even had a chance to even think about that.
Yes,
no.
And Alison Hammond, of course, is the firm favourite with even odds. Josie Gibson at odds of 2-1. Rochelle Humes is in the mix, 10-1. Lisa Snowdon, Amanda Holden, maybe Ruth Langsford can make a return at 33-1. Judy Finnegan and Sue Perkins both at 50-1 each, alongside Davina McCall at 33-1. Of course, she has had a very successful stint presenting My Mum, Your Dad on ITV.
True.
So we've got a lot of names in the mix there to potentially replace Holly. Already, I think, she even quoted Richard and Judy in her last statement saying that the presenters, they only look after the show. And I think ITV is just like how after the Philip Schofield scandal, they were keen to emphasise that the show is more than just a TV personalities. The presenters are only guardians of the show, and no matter the scandal, the show must go on. I believe ITV will take that approach going forward.
Yes, I mean, I don't think anybody would want to lose a show that is as engaging, that meant so much to people in lockdown,
And it's
particularly.
historic as well. 1980s it's been going since, hasn't it?
Well, I started in 1992 on that show, and I think it'd been up and running for a few years before that.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know, it means a great deal to people. It's kind of a friendly face, or lots of friendly faces in your bedroom or your living room every morning. It's live, it's real. There are mistakes on it. People fall over. The cookery gets burned.
And part of the mistakes that get made, that's almost the beauty of the programme. The viewers, I think, even love those mistakes even more when things go wrong on air, or, for example, there are naughty innuendos with Gino D'Acampo, the mum motorcycle bike, that with the carbonara, that definitely comes to mind. The clams getting stuck in the throat, that definitely comes to mind. You know, it's that endearing nature of the programme that viewers love, but I think ITV are going to be very keen to move on from this chapter and try new things for the show.
But it looks as if it's all going to be very, very sudden, because normally when a presenter leaves a show, there's warning. It happens over the summer hiatus, or it happens over Christmas, or there's a contract that has to be worked through, and then when they get to the end of the contract, they've got the new presenter standing by. But in this instance, it's all been incredibly sudden. I mean, Holly didn't appear last Thursday. She doesn't work on Fridays. It's only Tuesday. And now we've just heard that she's literally never coming back. She's not coming back to say goodbye. She's not coming back at all. So ITV, I'm imagining, will be whirling around in a frenzy.
I imagine literally the exact same. You know, it's literally only days after this kidnap plot with Gavin Plum was allegedly foiled and revealed, and we're hearing more details about the kidnap plot with, like, harmful chemicals and stuff. And I can imagine Holly Willoughby, you know, first and foremost, ITV were very keen to pay tribute to Holly and to thank her for the services. And I think they're very keen to emphasise the mental health factor. And that's why I think they're so understanding about this decision.
Well, I think they have no choice, really, do they? But I just think it's a colossal shame. And in fact, it almost reads like the plot of some kind of soap opera rather than real life.
Almost like The Morning Show.
Well, it's just like The Morning Show, but to me, this is my actual...
Yeah, of course,
she's my friend.
Life.
And she's a real person. She's not a cartoon. She's not a celeb with no heart and no soul. She's a real person with three beautiful children and a husband, parents, a sister, you know, loads of friends. And she's a very kind, sweet, cherished person in real life, not just on the television.
Well, that's exactly why she chose to take this step. She said she wanted to take this step back from her family. But of course, you know, she's taking this step for her, but that doesn't mean she's going to completely disappear off TV screens. You know, she's got a lifestyle brand to look after, Wild Moon, which I think she's going to continue to promote as well. Yes. And then, of course, we've got Dancing on Ice. We have the full lineup of contestants. And as far as we know, she's still very much due to present that programme. So this is definitely not the last that we're going to hear of Holly Willoughby on our TV screens.
Certainly hope not. Thank you, Josh, very much indeed. Coming up after the break, asylum seekers will be sent back to the Bibby Stockholm next week after a Legionella outbreak saw them evacuated from the barge in August. I'm Vanessa Feltz, and you're with Talk on TV, radio, online, and on your smart speaker.